that was something she could actually help with. Kind of. She turned to address the 3 other employees she'd been working with that day. Do we have a manager? And more importantly, is the manager here? They all stared at her as if she'd asked them to solve Hammurabi's code. Yeah, Stu's in back, a voice behind her said. Blake whirled around to see the cute blonde guy who'd been wiping off tables. He twisted a rag in his hands, making his forearms bunch. His was the only name she cared to remember because he was so hot. Gavin. I can get him for you, Gavin continued. Great, thanks, Blake replied as Gavin started to walk off. He's going to get him, Blake said to Black Bun. The woman eyed her warily. Is something wrong with you? Blake had heard this question a lot through the years, and it had stopped offending her a long time ago. Especially since, yes, according to multiple medical professionals, there was something most definitely wrong with her. But Blake had also learned that people rarely wanted her to answer honestly, and even though Blake didn't much care about what made other people comfortable, she needed this job. So she merely shrugged her reply, which she figured was as close to the truth as she could get without alarming a stranger. Is there a problem here? Stu asked as he appeared at her side. Blake gestured to Black Bun, meaning she was the one causing the problem, but the woman clearly took it as Blake leaving it up to her to answer because she started in immediately. This person you have working here doesn't know how to do her job. Which was true. Blake couldn't really argue the point, but she couldn't help defending herself. This lady invented a drink and expects us to make it. The woman actually stomped her foot. That is an outright lie. I get this drink here almost every day. And what is the drink, ma'am? Stu asked. A grande quad non-fat 1-pump no-whip mocha latte. Okay, no problem. He turned to one of the baristas behind them. Maddie, can you make this woman's order? Absolutely, Maddie said as she sprang into action. Blake glared at Maddie, who'd clearly let Blake suffer through dealing with Black Bun when the girl had known the order the entire time. Silently, Blake put a voodoo curse on the pixie-haired traitor. Stu told the woman her order would be comped, which caused her to flounce to the waiting area with her chin up. Blake extended the curse to include her, too. The next person in line was a guy with a much simpler order. Thank God. Blake made his coffee and rang him up with no issue. Soon after, Maddie rushed the woman's order over to her, and Black Bun disappeared into the crowd on the street. Stu approached Blake a moment later. Can I see you in my office? You have an office? The words were out of Blake's mouth before she had a chance to think about them first. Yes, Stu said slowly, suddenly looking at her as if she were something he needed to handle with extreme caution. Gavin will take over for you until you come back. Gavin materialized at her side, and Blake signed off the register so he could sign on. Then she followed Stu back to a small alcove he was incorrectly categorizing as an office. Have a seat, he said, as he pointed to an uncomfortable-looking plastic chair. Against her better judgment, Blake sat. It was like sitting on a rock, which made her squirm. She had to make sure she focused on Stu instead of the sensation of sitting in a chair manufactured in hell. Stu sat across from her in a rolling chair with a padded seat. Blake wanted to rip it out from beneath him and claim it for herself. So I see we need some more training, he said as he folded his hands on his desk. Yes, training would be good, she replied, happy that it didn't seem like he was firing her. I'm a little surprised you need it. You said you had experience in coffee houses before. Blake rubbed her palms over her black yoga pants that had never seen a yoga class. Yeah, I meant more along the lines of having gone into them rather than having worked in one. Stu steepled his hands and rested the tip of his nose against his fingers. It was one of the grossest poses Blake had ever seen anyone strike. I see, he said. I've worked on registers before, which was true. And I'm a fast learner, which was a lie. Tell you what,